Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. So in this video we are going to be reviewing all 10 episodes of Lovecraft Country. Now what a powerful show Lovecraft Country was. It really did deliver week after week with its outstanding performances and brilliant storytelling. Absolutely amazing. At points it was very difficult to watch because of all of the monster scenes, all of the gore scenes, and of course all of the awful racism that was prevalent in this show as well. And it was really heartbreaking because it was actually based on some real life events such as the massacre in episode 9. So absolutely difficult watching at points, but very gripping and very powerful performances and storylines throughout. Speaking of which, I absolutely love the series across all of its 10 episodes. It was really nice actually, as each episode was able to work individually and have its own standalone storytelling, whilst also building up to the wider narrative and cohesive storytelling throughout, which was really interesting. So overall, Lovecraft Country was an incredibly powerful and an incredibly gripping show that was really well shaped together, and I'm going to break down everything to do with Lovecraft Country, and in particular the final episode, in this video review. Now the concept of this show as a whole was actually really interesting in terms of travelling all the way back to the 1950s and exploring racism, which actually wasn't that long ago, which is just really crazy. And also throughout the journey of the show you get to go on a bit of a road trip across America with the lead characters of Atticus and Letitia as they have to contend with monsters and real life racist terrors. And I love how the show really examines which one is scarier, the monsters or the racism that the white people are treating towards the black people. So that, from a conceptualization point of view, was really interesting. Now across the 10 episodes, Letitia and Atticus also come across wizards who will do anything and cross anyone that comes into their path so that they can have the ultimate objective of achieving immortality. And throughout this you also get to see multiverses, spells and curses. So from a conceptualization point of view, the wider show of Lovecraft Country was really cool and was executed brilliantly. Now from a cast and characters point of view, honestly the performances that the actors gave in this show were just so stellar. Such brilliant performances, so heartbreaking and so emotional and just so power charged performances in this show, which was really cool. And like I said before, some scenes were really difficult to watch based on the catastrophic things that these characters have to go through. So let's go through the lead actors one by one. So first up we have, of course, Jonathan Majors, who played the character of Atticus, as he has to deal with monsters and racism throughout the show, and as this character also finds out as well his birthright due to his lineage, and then kind of exploring that from like a magical wizard point of view. We then have Jurnee Smollett, who brilliantly also played co-lead actress Letitia in this show, who was Tick's love interest, but also had her own set of storylines as well, and equally gave some outstanding performances. And I just really liked how her character grew throughout the series as well into such a badass towards the end. We then have Wunmi, who brilliantly played the Ruby character, who was Letitia's older sister, and I really liked all of the experiences that this character was going through in terms of really exploring what it was like to become a white person due to the wizardry and due to the magic, and then just kind of seeing what that is like and then kind of seeing the perspective from this black lady's view. So that was really interesting from that character's point of view. We then have Jamie Chung. Really nice to see Jamie Chung. I think she's an absolutely brilliant actress, and in this show she was playing the character of Gia, who was also a bit of a love interest towards the Atticus character and was a Korean nurse with a bit of magical things going on around this character as well. So I thought her performances, and especially in her single episode, was really cool, and then how she kind of fed in and kind of really slotted in really nicely in terms of the other wider characters, and her scenes with Letitia were really interesting as well. We then have Abbey Lee, who plays the lead wizard in this show, Christina from the Ancient Dawns group. She seems a bit of an unstoppable character, this one, and just kind of carries herself with such grace and just knows that she is unstoppable as well. So she was a real great villain for this show. We then have the character of George, who wasn't in it that much, but his presence was definitely felt, and I really liked how this character was kind of portrayed and how it was a bit of a father figure for the Atticus character. We then have the character of Montrose, who equally goes on a really interesting journey throughout the show. He was obviously a bit of a dominating father towards the Atticus character, and then you find out a lot more about him throughout the series as well. And I really liked how they closed the relationship between Atticus and Montrose in those final emotional moments, which is really, really cool. Hippolyta was another character that wasn't that big of a character in the beginning, but then became a massive character towards the end of the show, and I thought her performances were really, really cool as well. And then finally we have her daughter Diana, who also wasn't that big of a character towards the start of the show, but actually had the final moments in this series as well. So from a cast and characters point of view, Lovecraft Country is an awesome show. Now from a visuals point of view, this show honestly was just truly outstanding. Each episode really did take the visuals in different directions, and I really, really liked that aspect of it, as each episode is really, really different. And you weren't sure what to expect from a visuals point of view, and it really did kick it out the park each and every time. Like I said before as well, some scenes were truly heartbreaking and very, very difficult to watch, but the visuals really did bring them to life, which is absolutely brilliant. And then the other thing that was accompanying all of the great visuals was the musical score throughout this series. And the musical score, honestly, just definitely needs to have credit, because it was so good, as it really did make some moments really, really heartbreaking. But also, contrastingly, when certain characters are having kind of like their comeback moment and they kind of don't F with me kind of moments, the musical score really, really did amplify those moments and definitely did add intensity to certain situations. So from a visuals point of view overall, this show is also absolutely brilliant. Now in terms of comparisons, it's really tricky actually, as Lovecraft Country really is its own thing. Firstly, it's based on a novel, secondly, it's set in the 1950s, and thirdly, it has racism and magical creatures and monsters in there. So it definitely is its own thing, and it's actually quite difficult to compare to anything else because it is so unique. But that being said, you know, it is really nice to kind of see a serialized version of a Jordan Peele production. Obviously, Jordan Peele's movies are absolutely outstanding. Get Out, Us, etc. absolutely brilliant, and it's really nice actually to kind of see a Jordan Peele production this time around. J.J. Abrams is also the other guy that's kind of creating this show, and you can really tell that it's got J.J. Abrams' fingerprints on it in terms of, like I said before, each episode is great because it's also really standalone, but it's also building a wider arc across all of those 10 episodes, so it's really great from a storytelling and story direction and story creation point of view. So as far as comparisons go, this show is definitely up there. So as far as the ending goes, episode 10 was absolutely brilliant. I mean, all of the episodes, like I said, were really, really cool, but episode 10 definitely had a big crescendo moment. Everything across all of the previous 9 episodes definitely blew up in this final episode, which was just such captivating watching. So Christina, her mission is to become immortal, and the only way that she kind of sees to be able to do this is to sacrifice Atticus due to his lineage so that she can use his blood to become immortal. So this is kind of her mission, whereas the other guys want to obviously stop Christina, and throughout the adventures over the last couple of episodes, they managed to get their hands on the Book of Names, so they want to use this to finally defeat Christina. But obviously they need some of Christina's blood to be able to do this. So Letitia thinks it's a great idea to go to her sister Ruby, and their conversations was just so powerful in terms of Ruby saying to Letitia, look, you only use me whenever you want anything, and you may not well be able to see this right now, but actually you're doing it again. But then Ruby kind of comes around, well, it looks as if she does, and then she gives the blood over to Letitia, and it looks as if they're able to execute their plan. Now, it is later revealed that this version of Ruby was actually Christina in disguise, but then you do find out, Christina does reveal that actually she killed Ruby because she found out that Ruby was originally planning to give her blood over to Letitia. So it's a bit of a sweet moment in terms of Ruby was kind of going to have her sisterly relationship back with Letitia. But anyway, back to the fake Ruby / Christina against Letitia. It looks as if Christina has defeated Letitia. She pushes her outside of that tower, but then Letitia does come back later on due to her immortality. I thought another really nice moment was between Gia and Atticus. Those scenes are really, really nice, especially when Atticus had that killer line, which is, you know, we can either decide to be monsters or we can decide to be heroes in this show. I feel like there are loads of quotable, tweetable lines throughout this show, but I thought that was a really, really nice one that kind of embodied and summarized the show really, really nicely. Gia and Letitia then kind of work together, the two love interests of the Atticus character, work together to finally defeat the Christina character. And Letitia has that killer line as well, where she says to Christina, look, we're taking magic back. And she has also removed magical abilities from the Christina character. We then have the emotional letter, which the Atticus character gives to the Montrose character, which is basically saying, look, you can finally have your chance to become a real father with my son. So with Montrose's grandson, he can finally be the father figure that he really should have been. I think it's really sad that they killed the Atticus character off, but I think it was always building up towards that moment. And I think it would have been nice if Atticus had survived, but I think based on everything that was happening throughout the series, it was a little bit inevitable. But that being said, a very powerful moment. If there is a season 2, hopefully they can bring the Atticus character back. But I thought that emotional scene was absolutely powerful. And then the final moment is given to the D character, where she actually kills the Christina character with her robotic arm, and also with the pet/monster of Atticus that's now under her control. So overall, I thought the final episode and the final few moments were incredibly heartbreaking, incredibly powerful. It really did blow up everything that they had kind of set up throughout the series, but it also does end on a bit of a hopeful note. Hopefully these characters can finally have a bit of peace and quiet. So overall, I'm sure you can tell, I really enjoyed Lovecraft Country. I thought it was such a powerful and hard-hitting series that was really unforgettable as well. Covered so many powerful themes, so many great stories, and it just really did embody a great series in terms of really tackling and really educating and really demonstrating all of the horrors that characters had to go through in the 1950s, and really did depict racism really interestingly, and also had that magical and monster moments in there. So as a package of a series, it was really cool. I really enjoyed it. I'd highly recommend anyone who hasn't seen it yet to definitely check it out, as it's such a great series. And for all of those reasons, I have to give Lovecraft Country a solid 7.5 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.